Sadistic Streak. You could be forgiven for thinking that all of our kind are sadists. From your perspective, much of our behaviour, if not all, makes no sense, and therefore it could be argued that to behave in the manner that we do must mean that we are all sadists. That is an understandable proposition. After all, if one day a person is kind to you and then the next is nasty to you, when you have given them no reason to behave like that, then surely such behaviour is sadistic, is it not? The behaviour has no grounding in any logic to you. The nastiness is manifesting just for the hell of it, is it not? Are we then not deriving pleasure from your hurt and discomfort, and therefore that must make us sadists? A true or pure sadist is one who derives pleasure from the sadistic act. This often manifests in a sexual arena, in that the act of sadism is acted out in a sexual engagement, or the sadist becomes sexually aroused from the sadistic act, which may not be sexual in nature. Accordingly, a sadist may derive sexual pleasure from flagellating a bound and gagged individual. Similarly, a sadist may become sexually aroused from murdering the pet kitten of somebody else. Those of you who have a familiarity with my work will understand that from the narcissistic perspective, what we do is not done solely for pleasure. Indeed, we do not experience pleasure or joy, but rather it is done for the purposes of gaining fuel. It is our need for fuel which is the driver behind all of our behaviours, because the emotional response of another provides us with the validation that we desperately require to fill up the void which exists inside of us. The acquisition of fuel occurs in many, many arenas. It might be gaining a smile from an appreciative stranger as we get in a lift with them, from the tears of our partner who is crying after we have held them by the throat and described how much we hate them, or from the ecstatic groans of our lover as we provide them with orgasmic relief. In each instance, fuel is what flows, fuel is the aim, and fuel is what is required. All of our kind receives fuel from the emotional response of others. We do not feel joy from inflicting pain on you, because we do not feel joy. Your pained expression provides fuel. It could be tears, it could be a smile, it could be laughter. As long as there is an emotional response, then we gain fuel. When you are hurt from our manipulations, this is a byproduct of our need to gain fuel. It is a collateral consequence. Our lack of empathy means that we do not care that you are hurt. However, it goes further than this. The reduced cognitive function of the lesser narcissist and, to some degree, the lower echelons of the mid-ranger narcissist means that not only do they not care that you are being hurt, they do not know you are being hurt. They see an emotional reaction and that provides fuel. Of course, they do not know the actual mechanics of that operation. They cannot recognize the pain. I appreciate this will be rather hard for some people to grasp. How can he not know I am hurt when I am telling him so and he sees my face twisted in pain and the tears spilling down my face? The fact is, those members of our brethren neither care nor know. Thus, when you are manipulated, it is done purely for the fuel. It is not done primarily to hurt you. This is cold comfort, nevertheless, as the outcome remains the same. You are hurt. Where we have a sadistic streak, and this is more prevalent within upper echelons of the mid-range and the greater narcissist, we know we are hurting you. We do not care. The knowledge of your hurt adds further fuel. Accordingly, your emotional response which we witness provides us with the fuel in the same way as a lower echelon mid-ranger or a lesser would, but the knowledge you are being hurt and that we are the one causing this provides us with extra potent fuel. A sadist behaves in the way that he or she does purely for the sake of pleasure. We do not do it. If we have a sadistic streak, then we deploy it in our machinations for two purposes. 1. The provision of extra potent fuel as described above, and 2. For the purposes of punishment and revenge. Our aim, through this sadism, is not solely pleasure, but rather the reinforcement of our superiority. Not all of our kind wish to punish, hence they have no sadistic streak. The mid-ranger who has lost his primary source will feel fury for this transgression, but he is far more likely to direct his energies to applying an initial ground hoover to get you back and reinstate the golden period. He has no immediate urge to punish you. Even if that initial Grant Hoover fails, he will then focus on recruiting a new primary source, and for a period of time will leave you alone. There may be benign follow-up Hoovers when he devalues the new primary source, but there is still no desire to punish you. He may be looking to win you back, or just gain positive fuel. If this fails, he may not apply a malign Hoover, but instead will leave you alone before returning at a later juncture with another benign Hoover if the conditions are right. If you have been disengaged from by a lesser narcissist, but you keep trying to find out why he is disengaged from you, he will apply malign Hoovers. This is not done as an act of revenge, but it is rather done to make you stay away, so he can focus on his new primary source, and so you will not spoil this golden period by telling lies, or rather the truth, about him to the new primary source. The lesser narcissist in this circumstance wants you deleted. The malign Hoovers are a response to your interference. If you find yourself in a situation where you know that your particular narcissist has a new primary source, you are doing nothing to enter the spheres of influence, but your narcissist will not leave you alone and is applying malign Hoovers against you. This is evidence of the sadistic streak. It manifests as a malicious obsession, which causes you to enter repeatedly the sixth sphere of influence. Please listen to the relevant section of what is making him come back, and then the Hoover execution criteria are met. The relevant narcissist may not actually receive any proximate fuel from you as you are treated to these malign Hoovers, because he cannot see your reactions. So you may wonder, why would he do this? The reasons are as follows. 1. The sadistic streak means that he is willing to sacrifice the fuel he is gaining from the new primary source to carry out the sadistic malign campaign against you. Usually, the narcissist wants to gorge on this positive fuel from the new primary source and keep his attention on this person. But when there is a sadistic streak, he is willing to use some of this fuel to power the malicious campaign against you as the discarded or escaped former primary source. 2. The sadistic behavior allows for the provision of thought fuel, as the sadistic narcissist contemplates your terrified reactions, and it is his perception of how you feel, even though he cannot see it, and thus it is not proximate fuel. Ordinarily, a non-sadistic narcissist will not bother to apply the energy to gain this weaker thought fuel, but a sadistic narcissist will do so. 3. Our superiority is maintained by doling out punishment and revenge. A non-sadistic narcissist would seek that reinforcement with a new primary source, because it is easier to gain that positive fuel from them and to focus on them solely. The demands of the sadistic narcissist are such that he requires this ratification and validation from both current primary source, positive fuel, and the disengaged former primary source, negative fuel, and the power felt from the application of revenge. Accordingly, when you are entangled with a narcissist, so that the formal relationship is continuing and you are being devalued, and he exhibits sadistic behaviors towards you, this is for the purposes of gaining extra potent fuel. If the sadism occurs post-escape or disengagement, this is done to punish you. If proximate fuel arises, so much the better, but if it does not, this is not a massive concern to the sadistic narcissist, because we are willing to sacrifice the fuel gained from another source in order to power our desire to achieve revenge over you. Since you look at matters from your perspective and not from ours, you may find it difficult to truly distinguish when sadistic behavior is being used against you during the formal relationship. It is, however, at its most recognizable when you have escaped us or we have disengaged from you. If you know we have a primary source, which is new, but there is a campaign of hurtful behavior being used against you, slashing the tyres on your car, putting bricks through your windows, posting unsavoury comments about you online, handing out flyers accusing you of child abuse and such like. This is the sadism being manifested. This is not a smear, because the smearing happens prior to your disengagement. So we have got in first. Or if you have escaped, the smear will happen before we get another primary source. The key determining factor in knowing that you are facing a sadistic narcissist is that we have a new primary source, and instead of relishing solely in the golden period with them, we are lashing out at you again and again.